It's day 3 of the International Race Course at the Jim Russell Race School at Silverstone. We're following the progress of a group of young drivers as they work hard both on and off the track during a week that will culminate in a final real live race that'll earn them their racing licence. Our students get straight into the thick of it with the first lesson of the day, advanced skid control. The cars are specially set up for this lesson to make their handling particularly challenging, especially through the complicated series of twists, turns and manoeuvres the tutors have arranged on the skid pan. It might look like fun, but the drivers are working hard to prove they've got what it takes in an exercise designed to show those with real potential.
You've got to control the car basically. They set the car up with slicks on the front, which are very, very sticky. Basically, the softer the rubber on the tyre, the more it's going to grip. So you've got really soft slicks, which grip a lot on the front. On the rear, you've got really hard rubber tyres with tread on, so they're not going to grip as well as slicks in the first place. And because it's hard rubber, they're going to slide everywhere. So you've got loads of grip at the front and no grip at the rear. So as soon as you turn the steering, the back's going to come out. Basically, what you're learning to do is to hold the car in a skid, sideways.
Sarah, how was that for you?
Great fun. Enjoyed that.
What did you learn?
Actually how to spin. And I managed to do a few slides, which was quite good. Find out the limits of it.
See the instructors saying get quite aggressive. How are you handling that?
All right, once I, get into it, I can do it quite well. Just takes a bit of time to actually do.
I started off quite smooth, just getting a feel for the car, just finding out its limits. Going quite smooth, had a good session, didn't have barely any spins, and then I came in and he said to me, "Look, what's going on? Yesterday, you're really getting it sideways, really aggressive, and now you're all smooth. What's going on?" And so I said, "Okay, then you want to see aggressive." So I took it out there and got it a bit side on, had a few spins, knocked over a couple of cones, but it's great fun, really good to be able to swing it around like that.
We're doing the advanced skid course here. It's part of the Jim Russell course that we do here. It's basically to give the guys an opportunity to slide the car and not feel tense about when the car's sliding underneath them. We use a single seater, we put slick tyres on the front, so there's a lot of front end grip and very little rear end grip. We put some horrible road tyres on the back. The car slides at every opportunity and it gets them used to having the car slide underneath them. There's nothing worse than when you're racing, when the car slides away from you, that you tense up, and normally it fires you off if you do that.
From the light and nimble Formula Ford single-seaters, it's on to the heavier and more powerful Vauxhall Vectra touring cars. And the tension rises noticeably now because this is the first serious practical test for the trainee racers.
Any questions before you get started?
Why did you remove the turning cones? I like them.
So make it harder for you, what do you think? See how much you learnt yesterday.
It's a series of tests. Last night we had to sit a theory test which involved doing a short exam, which was relatively basic. It was more or less general knowledge, but if you don't pass that you can't actually compete on Sunday in the race. And then today we just went through a briefing over certain areas, and now we're just about to set a test in the car where we drive the instructors around the test, and they tell us if we're fit enough to drive on Sunday.
different instructor, so of course he has a slightly different style to the one I was with yesterday. And then I'm going out with him now to take my ARDS test. I have to do a few laps, and the instructor has to approve my driving ability so I can have my licence, so I'm a little bit nervous about that.
Right, how are we doing? Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, raring to go? Right, what we're going to do now, just go out, do a little bit of a demo so you can see what you've got to look for, what you've got to try and do whilst you're out on the circuit. You need to be aware that there's no cars obviously passing where you're going to be joining the circuit. You'll also notice that we've taken away the braking and the turn-in points for the corners. Okay, so it's up to you. You've got to refer to what you learnt yesterday about your turn-in points and also your braking points. It's not just about your pace, it is about your pace that you're not too slow, but you're also keep consistent, smooth racing lines, and you're actually able to keep full control of the vehicle throughout the time that I'm assessing you. Now we're going to be out there for probably, I would imagine, 15 or so minutes, and then there's going to be a time where you're actually driving and I'm not actually going to say anything. I'm just going to actually assess you throughout that time.
Right.
Okay? Who's going to volunteer to go first?
I'll get out of the way.
Okay, right. Okay, as you come around west, try not to let the car drift over quite as much.
Yeah.
Okay?
I noticed that go then.
Makes it very difficult then on the entry into the S's. You've got to bring the car back over to the left hand side again, which makes obviously your entry quite that little bit tighter. Okay. You missed the clipping point a little bit there. You can afford to get probably a foot or so closer to it. Right, you find yourself exiting the corner early. You notice that you actually reach the edge of the road probably 2 or 3 feet before the green.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's nice. Okay. Just a little bit quick around the first part there. Felt yourself let the car actually washed out, and then you made late turning into the left. Alright. Okay, you got 2 or 3 feet there where you can actually let the car run out a little bit wider. Okay, a little bit more room on the exit for you there. Okay. Yeah, you're turning a little bit too early, but I wouldn't worry about it. You need to actually increase the lock a little bit more. You notice that there's still again some space between you and the inside of the corner. Okay.
A bit better than yesterday. I've still had a bit of trouble at the S's, but it was a bit better than yesterday.
Right, and what's the instructor said about your course assessment?
He's just writing it out now, doing the recommendations and that. But I mean, I've really got to watch the S's, the entry speed into it. I went in far too fast.
Stuart, how did Sarah do in that assessment?
Very, very good. She improved quite a bit over yesterday. Improved her smoothness, much more consistent, and showed very good awareness to the cars on the track. So generally, it was quite good. She should be very pleased with her improvement over yesterday.
Hi Pippa, fresh from your assessment, how did it go? Did it go the way you thought it would?
I think I got nervous, so I was tense and driving really badly. I think it was sufficient, he said, but I could do a lot better, so it's just when I got tense, and it's frustrating because when I make a mistake, I know I've done a mistake, so when I'm going to the next corner, I'm thinking about my error at the last corner.
I've passed pretty well by the skin of my teeth under no uncertain terms, I've been told so. I'm finding it difficult to focus on the next corner when I'm in the corner. The S is posing a bit of problems for me at the moment.
They've proved quite consistent and all that they say to me, so I'm just keeping it up. I want to keep the car in one piece so I can drive it for the race on Sunday. And
and just improve on a couple of things that I am slow at, but right now it's just more practice and doing laps than anything else. So, and it's really nice. We've got a couple of laps behind us already, so it's quite nice.
Welcome back to Race School, the programme following 7 budding racing drivers on a quest for their racing licence. They're all studying an international race course. We're halfway through the week and pressure is mounting. The single-seaters in which the students are learning their craft are Zeus Formula Fords, specially made for the race school. There are no wings, which means no downforce, making them ideal training cars.
How has Jamie done this afternoon?
Jamie, since yesterday afternoon, I've been sort of harping on him about his throttle application. He tends to be a wee bit too harsh on the power. We've talked about it a bit already. He's certainly a lot smoother on the steering now, but he needs to watch. When he gets on the throttle, the tendency is not to be squeezing the power on through the corner. It tends to be on a bit too harshly. And again, this is something where he's affecting the balance of the car. He's tending to make the car oversteer too quickly, and then of course he's losing traction all the way through the corner. So what he needs to do is discipline himself more, so when he comes off the brake on the way into the corner, he literally rolls his foot across onto the throttle very gently, so that the transition from braking to acceleration is much smoother then.
Maybe I should turn in a bit later to be able to carry through that extra bit of speed, and then I'd get more of an exit, whereas at the moment I'm going in a little bit too tight and I'm running out of track on my way out.
Everything about driving a race car effectively at speed is about balance. With the technique of heeling and towing, we're seeking to control the car under braking for a corner. Heeling and towing refers to the action of braking whilst blipping the throttle to match the road speed to the engine speed of the car.
We had the same problem as we did last night with the pedals, that when I was braking, it was my foot was catching on the throttle, so I was pushing on into the corners. We tried to correct it by moving the brake towards myself and the throttle away. We moved it slightly too far. So when I was heeling and towing, I wasn't able to get enough revs on the engine to match the wheel speed. So at the moment we're sort of trying to compromise between the two positions, the one that we had last night and the one which we've tried this morning.
Well, basically what we're doing now is, as you can see, these pedals are actually adjustable. There's a thread there with a lock nut. And basically I will undo this lock nut and basically either spin it outwards or back, depending on the problem that we have. So what I'm going to try and do now is actually spin it away from the throttle, because basically what that's doing is when Hunter applies the brakes, it's actually making the distance between the brake pedal and the throttle bigger, in effect. So when he applies the brake, he won't actually be trailing the throttle. Right. Cars have to fit people from 5'3" to 6'2", and it is very, very difficult. We have to find a happy compromise between the driver feeling comfortable and actually being able to drive it properly for, let's say, a 6'2" person and a 5'3". So in another situation, these pedals could be right back here, actually screwed all the way in. Right. Because the seat has to come all the way forward, and it's still got to be adjusted in that direction. So it is an absolute compromise.
Jamie, who's been driving karts in Europe, his technique really isn't suited to driving one of our Formula Fords. In Europe, with the karts that he drives, they have to brake much more into the corners. With our Formula Fords, it's important to be on the power early to transfer weight to the back of the car, which gives you a little bit more grip and allows you to get into the corner quicker. He's actually adapted to that technique very, very well. So he's going pretty quickly now, and it's been quite impressive.
Something's going on. The students are not due in the classroom today, but they've been called in from the track for a discussion about their examination results.
The exam was calamitous, and I do mean calamitous. More than 50% of you have failed this exam, and I cannot ever recall that happening previously. So then what failed it have got some work to do tonight, and then there will be another exam tomorrow. And without you pass, you can't go racing. That's what the MSA say, so you better think on.
How the hell did you get what you told me?
Well, that's caused a minor disturbance, clearly.
Okay, here at Silverstone, as well as covering all the driving issues, we also try and educate people as to some of the other important aspects to do with motor racing and racing cars. And one of the things we cover is a short discussion on technical issues to do with the cars, mainly so that should people ever go out and buy their own race car, be it a Formula Ford or any other type of car, and race privately and perhaps look after it themselves at home, at least we try and give them some idea of the important technical issues that they need to be aware of in terms of maintaining the car. These are two Bandine and Formula Ford cars. They're slightly different to the single-seater cars that those of you that are doing the single-seater driving, in that these are cars that you can actually go out and buy and then race in the national or regional Formula Ford championships. Whereas the single seaters you're using at the moment are Silverstone's own cars, which you can't buy and take away from here and race elsewhere. We've taken the bodywork off so that you can see underneath the skin of the car to see where the suspension components are located and what the chassis looks like and so on. If you look at the cars that have actually got the bodywork still on, you can see that they're a very sleek design. And there should be, I mean, there's an obvious reason why the bodywork is made to be as small as possible. You can tell me what that reason is. Air resistance, aerodynamic drag. So aerodynamic drag is a big factor. Once you get above about 40 or 50 miles an hour, it starts to play a very big part in the performance of the car. And of course, those cars, single-seater cars anyway, of the higher formulas, have wings, which add to the car's performance enormously with downforce. And aerodynamic effect comes into play from about 50 miles an hour upwards. At the moment, the car is moving in such a way, if you imagine coming to the end of the straight and hitting the brakes hard, the front of the car sits down on the brakes, so we squeeze the dampers closed. And these links here are transferring that movement to the roll bar, which is simply rotating. It's free to rotate in its housing here. So if both wheels move together, up or down, the roll bar has no effect. It just rotates backwards and forwards.
Mark, end of day 3 on the course. Can you give us an update about how the pupils are doing generally?
Generally, everybody improved substantially today. We're quite severe in them yesterday because they weren't paying attention to the safety rules and aspects of motorsport. Safety is paramount here, and discipline is the #1 thing to be safe and quick in motorsport. You've got to be very self-disciplined. We were quite severe in the students yesterday evening, first thing this morning. They took it on board. They went out there, completely different drivers today. Everyone improved substantially, and the drivers themselves came back and agreed with us that doing it the right way is the quick way, and it worked quite well. David Fisher-Holt, he's never done anything before, okay? He is doing quite well. He's improving all the time, but obviously him compared to Clinton, who has been, a Rookie of the Year racing saloons in South Africa. Again, Clinton has seat time, has experience, he knows what it's about. He's just toning up his techniques. He's listening to what the instructors say. He's gotten really fine-tuning his driving. The girls, again, 2 girls with no experience. 2 of them are taking quite different angles actually. Sarah, she's improving all her times, but it's coming down slower as opposed to Philippa. Sarah is just really has to push herself harder. She's getting quite comfortable out there, and she's getting to the stage, I believe, she's questioning herself, do I want to go faster? Is she fully comfortable out there? She's got to answer these questions to herself first before she's going to go any faster. As opposed to Philippa, where when you come in and debrief Philippa, I've seen and observed where a guy's come in and said something, and Philippa will go out and she might spin it off in trying to do what the instructor is saying, but she goes out and has a go, really tries her best at it. Pretty similar, again, Darren, he's doing a good job. Seat time, it's all seat time in motorsport. It's like any other sport. The more practice, the better you get. Hunter Abbott and Jamie Richards are obviously very, very quick. Naturally, they've got the speed from karting. They've got a lot of racing experience. They're certainly not lacking the will to go and go a bit too hard from time to time. Jamie especially, he's a little bit over eager. If he could calm down a little bit sometimes, just relax a bit more, be more, he'll feel more what the car is doing around him. He's very eager to be the fastest guy out there, and he's really grabbing the car by the scruff of the neck and being quite overly aggressive. But he is going very well, and he's improving every session. He's beginning to realise that when he relaxes, he goes faster. Again, Hunter's going very quickly as well. The two of they're in the top end of the quick guys of the course. Basically, again, it's all about, they've got the seat time, they've got the experience, they're used to speed. Speed isn't a problem for them. It's a new technique, it's fine-tuning that technique, and obviously it's a bigger, heavier vehicle. And once they get used to that, like they're the karts, they'll naturally be one of the top boys at the end of the week.
Join us next week when we continue to follow the 7 students through their week of lessons on and off the track.